Welcome back to Face the State. I'm Ariana Bennett. Thank you for staying with us. Well, the U.S. Department of Energy recently chose Nevada to host a test site for geothermal energy just outside of Fallon. And the designation also comes with a couple $1 million to develop new technology. Paul Thompson, Director of the Governor's Office of Energy, is here to talk about the program. Paul, thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure.
Okay, so this program, how did it end up coming to Nevada? Did you guys apply for it?
We did. The state of Nevada put together a stellar team, actually, with Sandia National Labs, Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratories. They chose a location in Nevada because Nevada's really done so much of this work, and it's really one of the best places to do these types of projects. They teamed up with a company called Ormat Technologies, which is a world leader in geothermal development, and the Great Basin Geothermal Center at the University of Nevada, Reno. And so they really hope to do kind of a continuation of the geothermal research that's been done in Nevada since we built our first power plant here in 1984.
Now we hear a lot that Nevada is a, so to speak, hotbed of geothermal activity.
Sure.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
So the first power plant was built in about 1984. Today we have a little over 400 megawatts of geothermal power online. And geothermal power is simply bringing up hot water from the earth to turn a turbine. The hot water turns to steam like any other power plant, and what's unique about Nevada is really our geology in the basin and range brings a lot of those resources close to the surface. Right. A lot of companies have started to come to Nevada, and we kind of say it's the epicenter of geothermal development. We have close to 8 large geothermal developers here with operating power plants, and a lot of them have drilled geothermal wells and done work, and not all of it has been productive. You really need 3 things to make geothermal successful: heat, you need permeability in the rocks, and you need water. And heat is one thing we can't substitute, but the permeability and the water are variables that this type of research looks to see if we can substitute other other fluids, other working fluids, or create greater permeability in the resource so that we don't have wells that are unproductive. This could lower the price of geothermal and make geothermal development even more prominent throughout the West than it is in Nevada.
Yeah, Nevada obviously, we know that it's big for geothermal. Some of the pros being that it's a clean energy and it's sustainable for the most part. Some of the cons, though, that I just learned in doing research for this was that wells can actually run out. I mean, they can literally run out of steam. Is that a concern?
Not really. If you build the geothermal reservoir correctly and manage it, you can keep it going into perpetuity. So the heat is in the Earth's crust. I mean, geothermal means geo means earth and thermal means heat. And water has some specific properties. So if you move the water too fast, you can see a decline in temperature gradient. And if you leave it in the earth too long, you're not, utilizing its full potential. And a lot of developers have had trouble kind of engineering that and figuring out exactly how much water can I move through this system before I start to see it decline. But geothermal has proven to be, hugely economic. And one of the things that's unique about it is it produces power 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. Most people don't know that in Nevada, our renewable portfolio standard, the requirement that utilities must purchase a certain amount of power, almost 75% of it today comes from geothermal resources.
Wow, I had no idea.
So it's a phenomenal resource, and the technology improvements have been coming around, and that's kind of the neat part about this Forge announcement, is it really strengthens a lot of the STEM research in science, technology, engineering, and math. We're seeing the University of Nevada, Reno's Great Basin Geothermal Center working there, and we hope to see this kind of continue to bring this geothermal excellence to the state of Nevada. If you're going to major in geology and try to build geothermal power plants, there's no better school to be at in the nation. You have the Steamboat Power Plant project on Mount Rose Highway that literally is hundreds of megawatts, a heartbeat from the Redfield campus at UNR. And so that's why we push so hard to get this project sited and located in Nevada. And we couldn't have done it without our entire delegation working on this project as well. Senator Reed, Governor Sandoval, our state legislature have all worked to really promote these renewable projects and policies and put us on the cutting edge for this research.
Yeah.
And I have no concern that we're going to get from phase 1 to phase 2, and you talked about the $2 million. Right. That goes to fund all of kind of these initial projects where they're going to look and see if the site kind of holds all the characteristics that they need to do this subsurface research. Phase 2 has another $29 million behind it. Phase 3, if we can actually locate this site here, with appropriations from Congress, could be hundreds of millions of dollars for science and technology, and it just builds on the governor's objective to, strengthen those STEM priorities from the high school level all the way up through our Nevada system of higher education.
Okay, so I didn't realize that this was just the beginning stages of a potentially much larger development. And it would be, I mean, the idea right now is to put it outside of Fallon?
Absolutely. So there was a site there called Carson Lake, which actually developers drilled wells, and they found this heat, but they couldn't find the permeability to sustain a large power plant. And so what's unique about that site is it actually shares land with the Naval Air Station Fallon there, and a developer, Ormat Technologies in this case, and Sandia and Lawrence Berkeley National Labs just think that the geology there is very similar to a lot of places you want to do other geothermal projects. And that makes this project right, because if there are lessons that we can learn at that location, the idea is to disseminate those around the nation, and all of that science and technology will be coming out of all of this work done right here in the state of Nevada.
Now, specifically, what kind of technology are we hoping to discover or create?
Great question. And if a geologist is watching this show, they would rattle them off. It's a lot of subsurface work. And what I mean by that is you're not going to see a lot of power plants there. We're really good at building power plants and turbines, and we've seen efficiencies there. What they want to do is look at how do we find fractures in the rock, and how do we do it more efficiently. A lot of times we drill down looking for these underground water reservoirs, and sometimes miss them or don't find them, or they're not as productive. And so there's a lot of modeling, a lot of techniques that they want to perfect, and they also want to look at existing geothermal pathways and see if they can expand them or modify them in all this subsurface research. So the test site's going to be kind of interesting. It's kind of a sandbox for DOE to go play in. You're not going to see huge power plants out there. The idea is not power production, it's how do we drill better wells, how do we do directional drilling, how do we find the key to really unlocking the cost of geothermal, which is drilling these big expensive wells.
Okay. Is there any concern that in the drilling of these big expensive wells, any toxic gases could be released? I know that's sometimes a problem with geothermal.
I think that's all going to be, the short answer is no, but they're going to be looking at a lot of those types of concepts. The reason that this location is so good is that they've drilled there, they know, and that's going to be part of the identification process. It's located kind of out in the desert in Fallon, and so there aren't a lot of people around. One thing a lot of people don't know is that Nevada has done a lot of seismicity protocols and monitoring, and it's a very kind of neutral site to do a lot of this research, which makes it, we think, the absolute best site to locate this facility, and we're really confident. It's a world-class team, and UNR has world-class scientists, thanks to the Nevada system of higher education, and we really think this is going to move forward and continue to put Nevada on the geothermal map.
Now, looking more broadly at the whole state, what do we see as the best case scenario for how our energy looks, heading into the next 10 years, 20 years? How much do we want to be using, renewable, sustainable energy, and how much do we want to be using fossil fuels?
Great question. That's part of the role of the Office of Energy for the governor, is to look at renewable energy development, energy conservation, and the transportation of energy. Today we import just a little over 68% of our power in the form of natural gas. We don't have a lot of indigenous fossil fuel resources. We don't have huge coal deposits or huge oil and gas deposits. We hope to have some gas development with Noble in the northeast part of the state. But today we're blessed with solar resources and geothermal. And we're growing those really quickly. I was thrilled to be at the dedication. Sempra brought on 250 megawatts of solar in southern Nevada last week. We're seeing more geothermal projects come online. But our objective is to see how do we continue to grow those and keep prices down. Most people don't know in northern Nevada, our electricity rate today is the same as it was 10 years ago. And that's despite bringing on geothermal resources and solar resources that everybody has said has been so expensive. But it's really created kind of a hedge on increasing fuel prices. So we're going to continue to try to develop those resources in the state, because that brings jobs and economic development to Nevada.
Is there a specific timeline or a goal for these things, or is it just as good as we can do?
So our state passed a renewable portfolio standard, and I like to remind people that we passed that renewable portfolio standard in 1997, 5 years before California did, and it tries to get us to a goal of 20% renewables by 2020. And we're exceeding today, it's 15% by 2015, 18% by 2018, and growing that. And in the last 4 years, we've seen about $5.5 billion invested in renewable energy projects in the state of Nevada. So from an economic development standpoint, we want to continue to grow that, and we're seeing our utility actually exceed the renewable portfolio standard. It used to be a stick. We had to say you have to do it. Today they're proposing projects because the prices, come down so drastically on renewable energy projects moving forward.
Yeah, I mean it's great to see these big solar projects going up. I took a trip down to Tonopah to take a look at the big solar field out there, and really neat to see Nevada kind of being on the forefront of that.
And we're going to continue to see solar grow. That geothermal being 75% of the RPS, that's going to change drastically with how much solar we're seeing come online, large-scale solar, and we're seeing prices at an all-time low. NV Energy actually has a request for proposals out today. We hope to see the final results of that come in, and we're expecting to see prices, somewhere around 5 to 6 cents levelized cost, and that's just unheard of, and that's going to really change the landscape for energy development moving forward. And Nevada's in a prime spot for that because we had to commit to this early on because we didn't have those fossil resources, and so we've kind of hedged our bets, and those are coming to roost today, and we're seeing the benefits of that.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, Paul, thank you so much for your time. I
My
sure
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Thank
We're
you.
out of time here. That is it for this episode of Face the State, but for more information on all of this or to see past episodes, just head to our website, ktvn.com. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week.